Welcome to Anime on Draft, episode 97.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Rolando, joined always, ever, and forever
Oh, that's
by the two boys, Mark and Drew.
We're here again.
Yes.
You can't get rid of us.
Can't get rid of you.
Unfortunately.
Alec is absent this week, but he is here in spirit. Maybe he'll be in chat, but probably not because he's probably watching Game of Thrones. And
He's
Mark
gonna
is a
spoil
robot.
it for everybody in chat.
Yeah. Awesome.
But this week we have another Game of Thrones beer. As if you in case you didn't know which beer it was, it's the same beer that I had like 3 months ago, and then Alec had last week.
I have also had it as well.
Yeah.
So I
Mark,
have something different. I'm doing the King of the North one because it's been sitting in my fridge for like 3 weeks. So.
Mark, can you rejoin the call?
Oh goodness.
Thank you.
Oh, good.
In case you didn't understand what he said he's had it for 3 weeks. So, yeah. I am going to try drinking this week, and so I have.
Nice.
It's an oak barrel aged sour ale, 6% sour ale with red raspberries, as if that's not like in every freaking sour ale.
It's like, what's a good tart flavor? Raspberry. All right, throw it in.
Raspberries. That's the one.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to open this up, so you guys want to start
I'm
with
drinking
your
mine.
impressions?
It's good. We've talked about this. I'm not going to talk about this very often very much because you guys all talked about it a lot beforehand. But it's a good blend of blonde ale with sour flavored. It's got, I don't know the exact flavor that I'm kind of getting from it. It's like, it starts with that blonde ale with like the crispness, and then it finishes with that kind of weird mouthfeel at the end. It kind of tastes like a less strong version and less bubbly version of the Petrus. That is super dark. I'm surprised at how dark that is.
How dark it is.
Wow.
You can
Nice
see
cup.
you can see all the Avengers there too.
Nice. Nice cup there.
But you see how fast that head dissipated?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, this is like a less effervescent, a less strong version, less champagne-y version of the Petrus. It's more bitter because I guess it's more ale notes, I guess. I don't know. It's okay.
Cool.
It's okay.
This one I haven't had before. I'm gonna see. It smells very raspberry. And it also has like the similar kind of yogurty kind of fermented smell that you get from the sour.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of smelling also what I'm not sure if it's like the barrel, like the oak. It's got a very like interesting smell. I just spilled some on my pants.
Nice.
I was just saying, don't spill it. You're getting rather close to the edge.
But oh, that is very, very sour and tart.
Very berry.
It tastes a lot like what did we have before that this tasted similar to?
The Anderson.
There was
Anderson Valley. Didn't we have a goza
Goes.
with raspberries?
They only make goes.
There was something else with raspberries.
I think it's a little bit closer to the like the lambic. What is it?
Is it that
Lindemans?
carbonated?
It's very carbonated, yeah. But flavor wise, it's a bit more like lively, like the Lindemans. I do think that the oak finish Kind of adds a bit of like that tanniny flavor that you get in like wine and whiskey, and it actually helps kind of cut down on the sweetness and the sourness. I think it's a good flavor.
It's not too bitter.
No, it's just like a hint, kind of like you're drinking a little bit of wine.
What's the name of it again?
It is the
Avery.
barrel aged raspberry sour
It's pretty sour.
By Avery.
by Avery.
Yes.
Oh, we did White Rascal by them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The Wascal.
Look, and they've
The
got
white
raspberries on the can.
Oh, that's cool.
It's nice.
I like Avery's
It's good.
can art. It's always like really, really simple. It's just like the Avery
Mhm.
logo, bright red letters or like blue letters, I think, for one of their other sours, and then just like a drawing of fruit. It's
Yeah.
simple.
Very,
Very nice.
very nice. Got him.
Got him.
Well, what like you guys know what Alec and I think about the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. So what do you guys think? Pairing wise, what you would, maybe what you think you would have it with, and then kind of your rating. Let's start.
Mark's
with
not drinking that. Mark's drinking
not.
King of the North.
Oh, he's drinking King of the North.
But I have had
King
it
of the
though.
North.
I actually had it with my brother last weekend. So I went down and saw him, and then he had a little bottle of it, so I had some of it. But it was good. I didn't really know what to think of it. It was unique. I don't know. It was really, really tart. To me at least. Sure.
Yeah, it's pretty meh for me. Like, it's okay. It's the aftertaste is what kills it. It's like that outdoorsy, sour Band-Aid kind of flavor that lingers. I like the blonde aspect of it, but like it feels really out of place with the sour. So
Yeah, I couldn't quite like pinpoint what exactly it was about it. And then I didn't really know how I felt. I was like, this is kind of weird. It's kind of good. I don't know.
I like the
blonde
beer
ale of it.
you're drinking better, Mark.
yeah,
That beer's good.
This is really good. This is very delicious. I like the like toasty chocolate, like dark chocolate, especially that bourbon, like that bourbon barrel aged is just so delicious.
It finishes with that bourbon, and you're like, yeah, I like this.
Yeah,
This is
this is it's warming me up inside already.
good. Yeah.
What about your rating for it, for the King of the North?
I'll probably give this one like a 4. I think it's pretty good.
A 4, huh?
Yeah, I give it a 4.
Yep, yep.
I don't know if it's like, it's not amazing. It's not like the KBS or some of the Bourbon County, because those are like amazing barrel aged
Stouts,
beers.
yeah.
Yeah, those are really good stouts. I think it's good for what it is. I don't think it's anything crazy. It's got like a very mellow chocolate taste, a little bit of coffee, but nothing that's like just too extravagant to it. Not very complex flavor.
It's just it's like done well, but it's very basic. So
Yeah.
it's like at least for how I felt about it, it's like everything is done very well. Like I mean, obviously Ommegang is like well-respected brewery, and they do everything very well. But it's like it's what you would expect after reading the label of what it is. It doesn't like incite anything unique. It's just it is what it is, which is good.
Yeah, this is good. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good like standard, barrel aged stout or imperial stout. It's delicious, but yeah.
Drew, what about you? What about the Queen?
I give this I'll give it a 3. I almost gave it a 2.75, but it's okay. Like it's too tart. It's the finish is not very good. The mouthfeel and like the upfront taste is very good, but it just finishes very poorly for me. So 3.
3. Okay. Well, I am going to give the Avery a 4. It's pretty good. Like I said before, it's pretty standard in terms of the raspberry sour ale, but I think that the aging in the oak barrels does add a sort of kind of like nice finish to it that I think complements the beer.
Probably crisp it up a little bit, makes it a little bit easier to drink. That tends to be the flavor that oak gives me usually.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like the right amount of like counterbalance of bitterness. I think.
Nice. Very cool.
Berry.
How many berry cans can we fit in?
not enough. So our pairing this week, we have our Orishiri segment as usual. We've got Death Parade episode 4 and Bakano episode 4. So
the big Bakano decision.
let's leave the Bakano decision for the second part.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Death Parade first. I think this episode in particular, there's kind of a little bit more to analyze compared to last week's episode. So, Drew, do you want to start us off?
I'll kind of leave the analysis to you because I don't want to go into it and then end up spoiling something. But there is a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. One, the performance of the voice actress for Misaki.
Oh yeah.
So this is a very popular, famous voice actress. I made a couple notes. She's Ritsuko from Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is the blonde scientist or engineer. She's also Nico Robin from One Piece and Orochimaru from Boruto's dad.
Oh, nice.
So she does she's famous for like a lot of these different works, and you could definitely hear, like I could hear Nico Robin, I can hear Ritsuko, not really Orochimaru, but that's kind of a different sort of character, but you can kind of hear that in the performance. But what kind of really struck me is like you can really feel the emotion that the character was kind of going through and portraying. I mean, you go from like this kind of flirty older woman to this like very brutal, like
desperate
character when she's, you know, slamming the dude's head into the arcade cabinet.
That was fucking ridiculous.
I was not expecting that at all.
I was not expecting that either.
I was like, what's that sound?
The transition in those scenes too was like pretty dramatic, right? Because it's like her falling to try to, you know, save the stick piece that came off, and then it just transitions to her like slamming his face. There's like blood flying up. There's like glass flying everywhere.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal. But in terms of, I just wanted to see if you guys felt the same way as I did in terms of her performance. I felt it was like one of the stronger performances that I remember seeing in a long time.
Absolutely. I made a note of that too when I was watching it. I was like, geez, the voice acting in the show is just amazing. It's really, really well done. Like I said, like you could hear the desperation in her voice and just the range of like emotions that just not only like her character, but some of the other like players, I guess, in the show, like the range of emotions that they go through is pretty crazy. It's intense.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, in this case too, it starts off like super, super basic. It's like, oh, we're on, you know, one of those hidden camera TV shows, and it's like really, you know, lighthearted. And then all of a sudden, as the memories start flowing back in, and you know, it starts getting a little bit more intense, it just totally shifts on its head. And it, you know, you see Misaki's like progression through it, but you also see the and I'm forgetting his name, the NEAT character. You're seeing him to go from like this like blah, don't really care, to like really thinking about the decision that he made. So it was pretty powerful, this episode in particular. I'd forgotten about this episode, but this was one of like, for me, like the turning point of the show, because it's like, wow, this was actually like really good. It's not just going to be like week after week of games. It's a little bit more.
Well, they've kind of been bringing, like with each game has been a certain relationship aspect. So it's like the first one was husband and wife, newlywed. And then the second one was kind of a unrequited love-ish type deal between childhood friends. And then the third one, this one is it's not like they're not in a relationship like this together, but it's a mother and son type of dynamic. Like obviously both of them have regrets in regards to like a mother to her children and a child to his you know foster mother parents. You're a robot, by the way, Mark. And what I kind of wanted to talk about is um, this episode particularly takes a hard look at Misaki's character, and we see at the end how she's judged, and so she's going into the void. But I kind of wanted to see what you thought about how she was portrayed, and whether you agree with the judgment on her.
I mean, in the end, she wasn't a very good person. I mean, you saw like when push comes to shove, kind of the response that she would take to a lot of these things. It's like me versus the world, bitch, and I'm gonna shove your head through a cabinet if you don't agree with me. It is tragic though. I mean, it's a very tragic figure. She just made poor decisions throughout the course of her life, and that's his she had like, and she even kind of says it, I was finally going to be able to start living with my family. I had finally thought I made the right decision for them, and then she ends up dying. She's murdered, which is again super tragic, super unfair, but at the core of who she is, she's a scheming, maniacal, like basically, like, she didn't kill him, he's already dead, but like she would have killed him in order to save herself. And I think that's the most important part, I guess, in terms of what Dekium is trying to see. And it was kind of cheapened a little bit with the use of like that device to kind of push the events, but at the same time it's like Decium's right, because he needs to be able to see this to accurately judge these folks. But in terms of, well, I want to talk about something, but it's getting into like bad territory, so yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Mark,
let me refresh so they won't be able to hear you. So whenever I refresh, you guys are gonna drop audio, but it'll still go to the stream. So,
now you are
right. So when I refresh, you guys will drop audio. So, but my voice will still go over to stream, because I'm going directly. So just letting you guys know if I have to do that. But yeah, I mean the choice. So there's like two things. So yeah, like Misaki's character definitely like went through a lot, but we wouldn't have been able to see some of those that like the lowest level of her character without Decim's like kind of intervention, and I think like the call for him to do that, I feel like there is also like a kind of a gray area, because it's like, yeah, should he be able to do this? And if he does, then that's also allowing like further kind of interaction in order to get something out of the players. Which I guess, like, yeah, I think that is like the right call, because he is kind of the arbiter. He is there to kind of, really see the full limits of these people. So I don't know. I think that was the right move, definitely. And you can tell by the assistant that, it was kind of unexpected that he would be kind of intervening at some point. But yeah, I don't know.
It seems like something he would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like from what we've seen so far of him, that seems like, something that would go through his mind and be like, no, this is something I should do to see exactly how like these people would react.
Right, because he's not really judging them. It's more like he really needs to see what these people.
He's just trying to speed up the process.
Yeah.
Be like, I need to see the darkness in your heart fast.
Yeah, because this is a short game if you think about it. Like, as opposed to the bowling one where they're kind of just playing, but they were just still having fun. This is like 2 rounds where it was clearly going to be one-sided. If they had no idea what was going on, the guy Yosuke would have won.
Yeah.
The one question I'll kind of leave you guys with is, would Dekium had second guessed his decision to use the controller thing without the unnamed woman there with him?
No.
That's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that that you guys need to be thinking about, I guess, going forward.
No. But Mark, what do you think about the judgment on Misaki?
I think it was appropriate. I mean, like, we see her character, and it's like, yes, she was desperate in order to kind of move past all the, like, shitty things that have happened to her in her life. but that doesn't really make up for the fact that she had become like a shitty person, or just not. I shouldn't say shitty person. I mean that the fact that she had kind of like stepped over people is what it seemed, and was like willing to like physically harm somebody because that was going to get in her way. Um, I think I think that the action of her like basically she could have killed Yosuke. I think that that kind of speaks volumes to like what kind of character she had become, in order to kind of overcome like her previous, you know, I don't know, like her previous, like all the shit that she went through. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it was an appropriate call. It's unfortunate, definitely, because we get to see her backstory and like see just how much she went through to get to where she was. Um, yeah, I think it's
Hmm.
unfortunate, but kind of if you're
So
that person.
so you think, I don't know if you share this opinion too, Drew, but like you both think it's unfortunate that despite her coming around late, like at the end, kind of end of her life, not just like the end of the episode, but like the end of her life, kind of, she was shown to be trying to be there for her kids. You thought it was unfortunate that she doesn't get a second chance.
No, I think she kind of gets what she deserves because at the core of who she is,
Yeah,
she's not a very good person. And I mean, it's the circumstance around her that shaped her to be that way. But that's what they're trying to see. They're trying to see who they are holistically, not just one section of their life. So maybe it's like a too little, too late sort of deal.
yeah, that's what it is.
I don't feel sorry for her. I mean, her situation sucks, but
Yeah. Um, I kind of want to look at it, since there's a lot of like Buddhist themes in this show, in terms of how she was judged, like in like a Buddhist aspect. And so if you look at her life, she was a very self-centered person that was very tied into her desires, like sexual desire, um, for one, was like a big thing.
Hmm.
And so she if you think about it, she was a very selfish person and very desire driven person. And that's kind of a very that's like the exact opposite of what you want to
Yeah,
hmm
strive for in Buddhism. You want to be enlightened and kind of rid yourself of the self and all worldly physical desires. And so
hmm,
she was kind of the embodiment of exactly that. And so I feel like, regardless of the fact that, you may think that she was turning a new leaf, she had like late in her life decided to be there for her kids
yeah,
and like all of this stuff. She, as a person, was already very deeply ingrained with these selfish desires. And
yeah,
you can see how she acted in the game towards Yosuke. And so that's it, that's how she was judged. So she gets sent to the void.
yeah. And I think like the thing with her character is that
You are robot.
shit.
poor Mark.
Or more.
It's a stream, man.
It makes you feel better. There's a fly.
um, I mean, I think like the thing with her character. So the thing with her character is that like she in the end felt like she was always taken advantage of, and that was why she was so willing to kind of do anything, in order to kind of protect herself, protect her kids. But I think that doesn't really give you an excuse to literally do anything, like step over somebody, hurt somebody, whatever else she felt like she had to do. Which I mean, like you kind of have to imagine what else was she willing to do in order to get to where she was, because we only see like these like glimpses of her life. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that the whole like Buddhism thing, it definitely ties into that, because it's like yes, they still believe in like karma as well, but karma only goes so far if you're not living your life like free of desire, which she definitely didn't. I mean, yes, she was definitely.
She needs to get Sarazanmide.
She was definitely
I think she
taken
did.
advantage of, but yeah, I still think that the ends don't justify the means in this case.
She did end up getting what was coming for her, though.
That's true.
So
She got Zarazanmide.
yeah, you turned into a robot again.
He's gone. He's dead to us.
Well, while the Mark solves that situation, why don't we move on to Bakano? So Drew,
Bucket, no.
Bucket, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like this week's episode was a bit better than the previous ones. Like, what did
I
you
agree.
think?
Yeah, I mean, I still hate Isaac and Maria because they just yell
They're
and are
annoying.
annoying. Like, they literally danced into the middle of the street and got hit by a car. Like,
And then they're like, "Go fight
I'm like,
us!"
oh, I hope they're dead.
Fight us.
I hope they're dead. No, it was definitely a better episode. It seems like things are at least starting to make a little bit more sense. Like, we have direct factions now. So there's like the Bridal Gang, and then there's like the Sir Huey Freedom Fighters. And so it's like we have like and then what's his name, a Jacuzzi in that gang.
Oh yeah,
So we
scaredy
have
cat
like
boy.
we have at least like somewhat idea of kind of what's going on. They've even sort of started to introduce the people who can't die and that secret society sort of thing. So I enjoyed this week's a lot better than the previous episodes. It took a little while to get here, but I was gonna tell you guys, and still we can vote on it or whatever. But I'm down to keep watching it. I thought it was this week saved it enough to at least give it one more episode.
Mark, what do you think?
So just for the stream, I mean, I like this episode. I did like this episode. And I actually like Isaac and Miria. I don't know, you may hate me for that, but I think they're funny, dude. They're just so stupid. They're like helplessly stupid.
So some of their
love it.
things are funny, like the scene with the old man in the costume shop. That was funny.
Yeah.
Like
dancing
they
in
can
the
sometimes be funny, but when it's like how it was before,
Yeah.
where it was like just
was-
them
it was
and
way too
just
much.
yelling, it was too much. Like
Yeah.
so, I'll take them in smaller doses. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, but I like I mean, I like the episode. I think we definitely got to look into sort of like the underlying plot, I guess, like kind of what's keeping a lot of the characters together. Like that guy Barnes, like, so he has that, you know, elixir, the what is it they call it, elixir of life or something, or the cure all elixir.
Yeah.
The cure all
cure-all
or something. Yeah.
So it's like I can imagine that at some point, like, this is gonna be a tie-in to some of the other characters, whether it falls into people's hands unknowingly or whether people are trying to, you know, recover it. I think this is kind of what's tying some people together. And then we have like the train, where it's just like this culmination of people who are literally just trying to rob or kill people, and it's like, now that we've gone through a couple episodes, like, we kind of know who people are and like what their goals are, I guess. I mean, for some of them, I still have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of starting to come together, and I'm like starting to like some of the characters and starting to hate some of the characters. Like, Lad is a fucking insane, just psycho.
But
Yeah.
I think because he's so unhinged,
Yeah.
that it actually works now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, before it was just outrageous, way over the top.
Yeah.
Like, it just
And
With
he
a little
wasn't.
bit
It
of
wasn't really
that-
showing what he was doing, but you get to see
Yeah.
how crazy he is this episode.
Yeah.
With a little bit of that backstory, it kind of sets his character up very nicely. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. This is an interesting
so.
show. It's like, as of like right now, like recently, you get a lot of shows that want to solidify characters within the first couple episodes, and like, which is great, and which is kind of something that I feel like a show should do, because you want to know like what characters are about, you know, what they've been through, kind of what their goal is in the show, and like why we should care about characters. Whereas in this show, like, we literally just got sneaks and peeks of characters and doing just random shit that we had no idea what was going on. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, like, but that's just me. Like, I'm so used to recently, you know, coming to understand characters, as opposed to the way that they're doing this now. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I I think the main issue that the first few episodes had were tied into this whole like developing everybody, and so because they were so disjointed, it felt like you didn't really get what was going on, and like it just felt like poorly done. But I think the thing is, like, had this been a movie, like you could easily tie all of their stuff in together within the first like 20 minutes of a movie. A lot easier than you can trying to set up all of this exposition for like a longer series.
Well, and this show really suffers from having like maybe too many characters,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. It's just like there are so many, and you're just like, all right, here's my spreadsheet. I got them all written down. Who's who?
This is like
it's just like
it's like a Tarantino movie on steroids with like sci-fi components to it.
I like that comparison. I don't think Tarantino's bold enough to do that many characters though, or if he does, he like stretches.
I don't think
it
you know
into,
Tarantino.
Well, I mean, he'll stretch it into 2 movies where we have a chance to meet everybody, like in Kill Bill. So, I mean, not a lot of characters, but it does a good job of separating them each into their own like little mini arcs as they kind of go through it. And Tarantino does a good job of not just introducing them all at one time to like this show is sort of trying to do.
Tarantino will do a good job at solidifying motives for characters, and especially like you understand what a character's like what their agency is, like what their kind of point, like what their purpose is. Even though you may not really get a glimpse of a character at a certain time, and then you'll go back or go forward to a different character or the same character at a different point in their life. You still know what this character is about, and I feel like the show kind of lacks that in some aspects, just because there's so many different people that are at different points in time that we have no idea what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now that we've kind of, given our thoughts, what do you think about keeping this series?
Yeah, I say we do it. I say we keep going. I like it. I think, like I said last week, I want to like this show a lot, but yeah.
That OP's too banger to not like. I'll listen for that. If anything.
I love that it goes from like a jazzy tune to like a show opener tune. Like,
yeah,
it's interesting.
It's neat. Hey, that's neat.
So I guess we'll get Alex's opinions, although I think he probably already has made his decision on this show, and he's probably not going to watch this episode. But I agree. I think we should at least give this this show another episode.
This week's bought it at least one more.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, if it starts to go really downhill and like we're all like just getting pissed at it, then like we can have that discussion again.
We'll have a week to week. It's got a week to week leash now.
Yeah.
That's rough, man.
It's rough.
When you start off that poorly, sometimes that's what needs to happen. So that's the thing. I think it'll be okay for the rest of the time. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as it was, but we'll see.
Yeah.
TM.
Hopefully. Well, that wraps up our Orishiri segment. So moving on to our happy hour. We have quite a few shows to talk about. The first of which is Attack on Titan. Episode, was this 51, 52?
51, I believe.
51. All right, so we've got the huge colossal Titan Reiner fighting Eren. So what did?
No, he's the armor Titan.
Armor Titan. What did you guys think about this episode? It was kind of like it was a bit more action packed.
It was good. I liked the Reiner fight the first time, because they had more of those like MMA sort of like moves and things. This was more like punch, grapple, and then they kind of disengaged for like the continuation or the finality of the plan with the thunder sticks or whatever. What were they called?
Thunder sticks. Yeah,
thunder sticks. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of the whole time. It's like, But yeah, super action packed and like just really catch you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It's kind of set up well too. It's like, you know, we got the fight in the city itself, and then the fight on the outskirts where, you know, they're trying to save the horses and stuff. And it kind of separates Levi and Aaron too. So it's kind of got good lot of action going on both sides, I guess I'll say. But the one thing I was going to talk about, did they, I see your note here, did they talk about transfer of consciousness before and I just don't remember?
That's what I thought.
I think they did. I think they talked about it briefly. It may, and I can't remember when. I think it was like one of the King guy. Somebody, maybe it was Berthold, that at one point like talked about it. I don't remember.
Like, I remember there was something having to do with transferring the consciousness into a another part because like the head was cut off or something.
Yeah.
But then I was like,
oh,
am I just remembering?
It was when, well, I know that they actually like acted upon that when they were trying to kill that colossal titan that was all malformed.
The fucked up one.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
yeah.
they
So
blew that up, they mentioned like they need to kill the certain
kill the core.
Yeah, the core, like the right part of it, because he could change into any piece.
Okay,
but I
yeah.
don't know when they brought it up before that. I can't remember.
I feel like they did, but I was like, I noted, I was like, am I just like kind of misremembering and just thinking about Parasite and like kind of mixing that up with this?
I couldn't remember because like when I saw it this time, because they used the image of like Levi's blade going through his neck, and then they move like it has like his nerves, and then they like move it down.
Somehow
like,
moved his consciousness to his body.
He's like, oh well, I guess I'm out of here. Like,
yeah, I thought it was a little goofy, but I mean it's fine. And then the other thing I want to talk about was John actually snapped everybody out of being like pussies, and they're like, oh, we gotta kill Reiner.
For
oh no,
once.
and John's like, no, he's like totally fucked up all of humanity. What the hell's wrong with you guys? So
He's like,
I was happy to see him step up.
yeah.
He's like, he fucked you. What?
Like, guys, come on now.
Guys.
We literally said like a month
Like
ago,
we're literally
gonna
in
kill
this
guy.
predicament because of him. Like, why are you feeling sad about it?
Nobody
like-
cares about him anymore.
Millions of people died because, or I don't know about millions, but you know, like a bunch of people died.
A lot of
because
people died.
Yeah.
Like a quarter of humanity or whatever.
Yeah. God.
Oh. Yeah, a quarter of humanity plus Mark's microphone
Plus mics.
plus Mike.
let me redo this. Oh my god. I mean, a lot of people died because of Reiner.
Continuing on with this, what do you think is gonna happen to Reiner?
Blowed him up.
You think he's gonna die?
No, probably not. Well, he looks pretty desperate in the situation where it's like he's in the Titan and you can see the rods in there or whatever, and he almost has like that given up face, like.
Oh, that's.
But it was at the
I'm
end of the
fucked
episode,
face.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the I'm like, teleport behind you. So it's nothing personal, kid.
It's the end of the episode, though. So like, how do you know it's not just a cliffhanger?
Yeah, to be continued, boys. We'll see next week.
We also don't know
Where Barthold
what's going on
is,
with Bertolt
Yeah, where's Berthold?
and what the fuck
Where-
Ymir is doing.
Where in the world is Berthold?
And also, what's up with Camelback Titan?
Oh yeah.
He's got.
No, he's just there He's just there. That's all wine and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And
When he
then-
wins, he's just gonna like start sipping it, like, delicious.
Just crack one open with the boys.
With a T-pose Titan and finger guns Titan.
Dude, that's what,
Yeah.
So I sent this picture. This episode had some of the best Titan designs, like by far. It was so good. I have a picture of my favorite Titans from the episode.
throw it up there.
Yeah, T-pose Titan's pretty sick.
T-pose Titan, finger guns Titan. Look, these guys
Yeah.
are great. Look at this guy. What a god.
They're going for it.
Oh man. Yeah, so there's still like this impending doom of the Beast Titan. So I know Levi is gonna go attack him, but I mean, at this point, what do you guys think like their plans are? Do you think that they have to capture Reiner, Berthold, or just break out to survive, defeat the Beast Titan? I mean, there's just like so many things that are playing into like their plans.
Well, they
right
gotta
now.
win. I feel like they gotta win, and even Erwin said so. He's like, regardless if we can get away or not, it's like they're just gonna keep breaking the walls and doing shit unless we,
Kill
put a
them.
stop to them. So it's die or go home, and you can't go home. So
Yeah, I think they have to kill Reiner and Bertolt. Like,
Yep.
absolutely. I don't know about the
and
Beast
probably
Titan.
well they probably gotta like let him know it's like, hey, you gotta stop fucking with our shit, dude.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot of influence. Like he can control Titans. We don't necessarily know like what other powers he has.
Yeah,
so-
I don't know about Blonde Aaron's dad, aka Beast Titan boy, but he I'm not sure if it, because like he seems like the main antagonist. I don't think he's gonna die, but I think we've had enough kind of backstory on Reiner and Bertolt enough that like they're probably
can
going to
die.
die in this arc.
Yeah. I think there's and probably through the course of this, there's going to be a double Ackerman showdown with the Beast Titan. It seems like the Ackerman family is who needs to take down like the higher ups or whatever. Get this fly away from me. But they're like the ones who have like the most influence, and they somehow just keep living through all this. So I feel like that's what it's going to come down to. But you were right, Mark. More action this season. So if you guys like more action, less politics, it seems like this is the season for that.
It's gonna keep going for a little bit, and then we get more backstory, which is cool.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm about it.
Well, moving on. So we've got One Punch Man season 2. What is this? Episode 3, 4?
4. Yeah.
4?
Not much going on in this
Yeah.
one other than more like high level monsters fighting, and then more backstory on Garo and Saitama entering that
tournament.
that tournament, which was
Yeah.
pretty funny.
I hope he's
The
not stupid
conversation.
enough to enter the tournament.
And he's like there talking to his like old senpai.
So dumb, dude. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
So Rolando, to kind of just set this up so you have a little bit of backstory, there's this like guy who gets beat up who has like a ticket to this martial arts tournament, and he tells Saitama, he's like, don't enter this, like you can't just enter it. And so he enters it for like, he's like, oh, I could win like 3 million yen or whatever, he can win like a huge amount of money. And he gets into it and he starts talking to one of the guy he's like pretending to be. He starts talking to him about last year's fight, and the main villain was in the fight last year, and he like disguised himself just like what Saitama's doing. And so he says to him, he's like, yeah, we got to make sure that no one is an imposter, because they'll probably get fined, they'll get disqualified, they'll be arrested. It's like all these things, and Saitama's like, oh shit, like, god damn it, I'm just here to make money. Like
He's like, fuck.
it was pretty funny. But I mean, this show it continues to be good. It's just like, it's funny.
Yeah.
There's action. The characters are ridiculous. Like
It is really good. The thing that like really was like kind of funny to me about this show and this episode specifically is that like literally anybody could be like a hero, and you can have like your wide range of heroes, like people who are like way overpowered, like the Fubuki or Tatsumaki, who have like ESP, or you have a dude who with a fucking metal baseball bat. Like,
and he's like one of the
he's
strongest
so
heroes.
strong. Like, it's so dumb. It literally makes no sense. I mean, I guess you have like Saitama, who literally one punch.
There's also a hero that they talked about this week, Orlando. It's the Shibuya, the dog, like, you know, the little dog statue in the Shibuya crossing or whatever.
Hachiko.
There's someone who
Hachiko.
just it's like a guy dressed up as him just sitting on that perch, and he's like one of the strongest heroes. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know if it's next episode, but we'll see him soon. Like, we'll see him again because Yagaro like finds out about this guy.
Isn't there like Boy Genius? He's like this 7-year-old who's just like a genius, and he's like one of the strongest heroes.
Yeah, he's like
and
number 2 or something. Yeah.
And then fucking Munman Rider is just a guy on a bike.
Yeah, that's what I love about this show. It's like you literally have like a whole gambit of heroes like that. Just some of them make absolutely no sense. Like there was a guy who was like dressed up as a pineapple, like Mohican or something. And like, but then you have like your super OP, like people who are heroes that are just
Genos. He's like a cyborg, and can like blast people and shit.
The character design in the show alone is just so great. Like you just have a huge range of people who are
tank top vegan.
Oh man, that's why I love it. It's so great.
It's just sick.
Yeah. I don't know if I know I know Murata is doing like the actual like the redrawings of One Punch Man, and I don't know if anybody else follows him on Twitter, but I definitely could not recommend it enough because he always does like redraws of like other well-known works, and he did like he did a Game of Thrones one I think a week or two ago, and it's pretty badass. It's so great. So definitely like look up Murata's Twitter page and follow him because he also does like live drawings too. Artist.
Can you say that again? You cut out for a second.
Oh, it's like he's an amazing artist. It's
Okay.
incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this show sounds pretty funny. Maybe after I finish catching up on My Hero Academia, I'll pick it up.
It's a good one to binge like that. It's not like anything too serious. Like you even put it on while you're doing something else. It's just entertaining.
Well, speaking of entertainment, there's a lot of butt entertainment in our next show. So we've got Sarazanmai episode 4. What do you guys think about this episode? We kind of got more of Kuji's backstory.
No.
I mean, this show in particular has a lot of wordplay, Japanese wordplay, so like it's kind of lost because they don't translate it, and like I know a lot of, so this is the one thing that's bad about the demise of the fan sub era, which is like despite how memey fan subs were with their fucking translation notes like all over the fucking place, like at least they would explain some concepts. So like in this series particular, this episode, like it would make a lot more sense if you could understand some of the kind of Japanese puns and like wordplay. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this episode?
I've noticed that, especially in this episode, this is episode 4, right? That I wish I could understand more of like what they're saying, and as opposed like because I can catch some words like here and there, like some just random random vocab, and then. But I really wish I understood like the implications of like some of like the phrases that they're saying, because I can tell like from the translations that are there, I know that there's something else that goes into like some of the lines, especially like with the word play on like the soba and like the desire. I know that there was so much more that was going into some of the writing in this show, especially in this episode, than I was able to see.
Monogatari has that issue too. There's just a lot more going on, and not only in terms of like some of the language, but just what's going on kind of in the background as well. So like some of the symbols that you'll see, and this show actually does that a lot. This show for me draws a lot of parallels between Monogatari and itself in terms of how it's telling the story. Obviously, Monogatari is not as regimented in terms of there's one bad guy this episode or villain of the week, whatever you want to call it. But in terms of like the overall like world, the different symbols, the different just the public, how they're all like that one female or male image. There's a lot of similarities between that, as well as the colors that they use. This show's very bright until they go into the capital world, and Monogatari does that pretty well too. It's like when Araragi's going out and dealing with, seemingly normal things that's always during the daytime, and then at nighttime it's when he's actually dealing with the aberrations.
They go into night mode
and the monsters. He goes into night mode. That's right. switches it on. He tells everybody it's like, I'm a night mode only user. But
you see different things sometimes in night mode, just in case you didn't know.
Let me refresh this Let me refresh this 1 second. Hold on a second. All right.
What were you say, Mark?
Yeah, I no, that was something like that I noticed too. Like especially with the colors, like everything's like really bright, super colorful, like really really bright colors. And then yeah, when they go into like the desire world and they're fighting, everything just changes into like this darkness, like really really muted tones. Um, yeah, it's a cool little hint to the art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So-
like the show.
So I kind of wanted to talk a bit more about like the wordplay that they have in this show. Um, so we know that this week's desire was soba, and the way it was kind of, I guess you could say,
There's like a double meaning there.
yeah, but it was they kind of turned it around, so to say. So like rather than like the actual like food soba, like soba also means like to be like near or next to in Japanese. So it's like the phrase like soba ni iru would be like to be near you, to be next to you. And so like they use that in this episode, and the soba guy that had his desires twisted, like
It's
he
also really gross.
like he like yeah, he's trying to make soba with his girlfriend's bathwater. And so like he says, like he exclaims like he just wanted to be near her, like he just wanted to be near her. So he just like exclaims like that exact phrase. And so that's how they've been kind of twisting like these words and meanings. And it seems like something that the otters would do, because like looking at like the Kawa Uso folklore that we talked about last week, they like to trick and play with humans, like using human words and human language. So it seems like that's like gonna be like coming more and more as like a major theme. And one thing I thought was kind of interesting, because this was more of like Kuji's backstory. So his brother's name is Chikai, and Chikai is also a word in Japanese that is like means close. And so I think that's kind of relevant, to this theme of like the soba and like being near to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that Kuji wants himself. He wants to be near his brother.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like his desire. And I'm not exactly sure on the actual spelling and pronunciation of his first name, of Kuji's first name. They spell it TOI for toy, but like I wasn't sure if, because I had to go back and listen to it and make sure if they weren't doing another wordplay with it. But like it kind of sounded like they were calling him Toi, like a longer O, which can mean far away in Japanese. So that's kind of like, it would make more sense if that was true, because like one brother is far away, one brother is close, and the people that have the names like
Are kind of opposite to what
are the opposite.
Yeah.
So like their desire is for the other. So it's like the older brother wants to be away from the younger brother to keep him safe, whereas like the younger brother wants to be near the older brother because he's like his only family.
Right.
So I thought that was like another wordplay, but I'm not exactly sure if I'm just mishearing or what.
Maybe. I mean, it would make sense.
What to say?
Because like that's another thing that like I noticed too, is like in this episode you get a lot of like you get to see more of Toy's like desire and like what he is trying to achieve. And he definitely wants to be with his brother or protect like his family, protect what he used to have. So yeah, I think that would make sense that he would want to be close to his brother, because that's what he feels is kind of all he has right now.
Yeah.
And he was willing to go like to some like to any length, which is exactly what his older brother was.
Murder.
Did. Yeah, like his older brother is willing to go to any length to protect his younger brother and in order to be close to him, but he feels like he has to, be at a distance and push him away in order to keep him safe. Yeah, I think this is
I'm surprised. I like all the characters in this show.
Yeah.
They each play a good purpose. They each, feed off of each other pretty well. I do want to know more about the bad cops. I think maybe next episode we'll see a little bit more of them.
The Otter Boys.
Otter Boys, yeah.
Well, last thing on this, what did you say, Mark?
No, go ahead.
Oh, last thing on this is something Drew was gonna talk about, and it was the big reveal at the end of the episode.
Oh yeah. So he drops that knowledge bomb, everybody. I hate my brother, and you're just thinking to yourself.
Oh shit!
And you're thinking to yourself, well, then why are you going through all these lengths to try and hook him up with the Sarah lady and all that stuff? So it's like they just drop it. That's just where it is. So we got to figure out what's going on next week.
I think this is I think I can definitely tell that like Kuji's in a difficult place because he feels like he has to keep his brother happy, and I'm sure like being like the older brother, and especially with being part of a family where one of the siblings is like being catered to like to the extreme.
He's disabled in some way.
Yeah,
we don't
so
really know.
And I'm sure Kuji may have felt like he had been forgotten or been kind of it's been always like a second thought compared to his brother. So maybe that is kind of like what is going into the reason why he feels like he hates his brother. I mean, I don't know at this point, but that's kind of the
think about the effort that he has to put into keep this lie going on. It's like you got to carry this box around, you got to dress up, you got to act like her, you got to communicate with him constantly. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, he's going through such lengths to try to appease his brother because he feels like he needs to. Maybe just to keep him happy for the time he has left, or just because he feels the need to try to provide for him. I don't know. It's tough.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's just one of those cliffhangery types of things.
Yeah.
Because like you don't go through this kind of like song and dance if you don't actually care for the other person. So I think I don't think that he hates his brother.
I don't think it's like a deep lying hatred.
Oh no, for sure.
Like God,
he hates the song and dance.
Yeah.
He hates the song and dance that he has to do to try to keep him happy. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he'd do anything to, make him happy.
That's what I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Sada's on my
Soba. So one last thing that will tie us into the next show. I didn't know that Mamoru Miyano is actually one of the voices of the cops.
yeah, he's the. You didn't recognize because we were talking about a couple weeks ago, and we were saying like, Kotaro is our fucking cop boy.
That's right, and it's totally like Like I think this episode I was like, wait a minute, that's right. This voice sounds familiar. And then again, and so sorry to kind of take over the transition, but yeah, in Carol and Tuesday, I was like, this guy's voice sounds so familiar.
Erdogan?
Yeah. I was like, what about this guy? And I was and then I looked it up.
Was it at the end when he yelled,
Roddy? Yeah, I was excited.
Roddy.
And then I went back and I was like thinking about the episode. I was like expecting him to go, "All right, Roddy, go 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 go."
Yeah. So yeah, he's now typecast as the fucking eccentric ass voice.
He does so well though. Like
he does. It's a good voice for those types of characters.
Yeah.
But yes, Carol and Tuesday is our next show. What do you think about the show right now?
This episode was pretty funny. It was unfortunate that they got scammed, and it was really sad. But I thought it was funny though, like the way that they did it, the tie-ins to like a lot of like music references, the Thriller like callback. It was so great.
Literally everything that Carol was mentioning was just a Michael Jackson music video.
Yeah. And then actually, like what Gus was like mentioning, I was like, wait, is this like Zombieland where they just all of a sudden have helmets and then now they're like in a Ultraman setting where they're like coming together? Wait, is that Ultraman? No, it's not Ultraman. I guess like what's the
Well, he was mentioning a bunch of just random movies because it's like I think the helmet thing because he's like, oh, we got helmets and we're going towards a meteor is like they talking about like Armageddon, like
yeah, it was just so outrageous. But like so somebody pointed out on Reddit, it was like, well, I don't know why Roddy didn't read the reviews because it literally said 1 of 200 reviews and it had a 1 star. It's like, Roddy, come on, man, you got to read these reviews and not get scammed.
I know it's like I don't know what the equivalent of like those random ass like scam looking websites would be over there, but like I can't even think of one right now, but like that's basically what they did. It was just like, oh, it's too good to be true. It's only 19 won, right? Or whatever the fucking currency is.
Wulong or things like
Wulong.
And it's like, if it's that cheap for a fucking AI that's supposed to do all this shit, then it's probably a scam.
Especially when the AI shows up and it's like, yeah, I just get paid in beer. Just give me beer, and he's just always drunk. It was like, all right, this is not gonna end up well. Like,
yeah. I thought that what has kind of bothered me a little bit with this show has been, so there at points the audio quality hasn't been very good.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because it's a show that's focusing on music. So like we had like the gripes with the music production in like last week, and then this week the very beginning of the episode had poor quality audio.
Yeah, it did.
Like their voiceover and in-scene audio was like really poorly implemented.
Yeah.
I don't know, like recorded.
It just sounded
mixed.
Like,
it was just,
especially when they went inside, like indoors. It just sounded like it was way over the top. Like it was way out of balance. I don't know. It didn't sound very.
Yeah, it sounded like this.
Yeah.
Is what the main issue I had with it.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. This show like has its moments, and I think it's funny, but this episode felt a little off for me, and part of it was due to, I don't know if they're having some sort of like scheduling conflicts or like they're having like time constraints, but it felt a little bit lower quality. But I did like the kind of story arc with Gus and his backstory.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was good.
Yeah, I definitely liked Gus's backstory, and especially like bringing up the ex-wife who's now, with saying that she's gonna be remarried, and like his reaction to that was like really positive. That was like really heartwarming. Yeah. So like I really like the characters in this show. I think they're all likable at least.
Yeah.
And they're funny. So I think that's what makes it so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Some of the yeah, definitely. Some of the sound quality was kind of weird at the beginning. The sound good because it's like
sorry, I couldn't hear your last sentence. It cut out for a second.
The soundtrack, like when they're in the bar, was pretty good because it's like a kind of soft jazz, like bar setting music that you would just get, but which I don't actually know would fit for the bar that they look like they're in.
Yeah.
Because it definitely looks like a dive bar, but they're playing like kind of like contemporary jazz, which I mean I like, but yeah, I don't know if it exactly fits. Yeah, I mean I don't know. This episode was fun in its own right, but don't know how well it fit with the show like all together.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, moving on, we've got Shield Hero. Did you see this last week's?
Yeah, I did.
So, Philo gets tested by Fitoria, and you probably read what I wrote in there. So I
Can't
think
believe you've done this.
I think the main the main thing with the Philo getting tested is she's solely relying on, you know, like turning into a Filolial form and then fighting that way, where Katoria's kind of forcing her to fight like in her human form
Yeah.
and like use her head and this kind of stuff. But that's kind of, you know, pretty much common sense,
Yeah.
like for the evolution of her character.
Right.
But the main thing that we kind of get into is finally Naofumi's agreeing to try and work it out with the other heroes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you thought about that.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's like you kind of always have this thought that, all right, well, all four of them were meant to be brought into the world together, and I'm kind of assuming that they should probably work together in order to beat the waves and, like, you know, beat whatever this evil, like, impending doom is. And so yeah, like when Vittoria says that, like, yeah, you need to, like, absolutely need to work together, otherwise you're gonna just get fucked. It completely makes sense. So yeah, like now Fumi coming to this realization is like, it's a positive thing. Don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know.
Yep.
Me neither.
Yeah. While Mark fixes his mic, I think
Oh no.
I think the main thing that they kind of talked about is Naofumi never really thought about really trying to explain himself and like patch things up with the other heroes, mainly because mine is a bitch, and freaking Spear Boy is just a freaking cuck. And I think that's like his, like the most of his interactions with the other heroes. Like it's not like Ren and I forgot what Archer Boy's name is because he's kind of he's kind of a dick too. But like at least those two are the ones that like recognize that there's some other shit going on, and like in regards to Naofumi. But I think like they've been complicit in some of the abuse that he's received, but those are like the two that he could reach out to and try and get things to work together. And it's like they should realize that he's stronger than them because while they've been out like playing fucking Sword Art Online, he's actually been fucking playing the fucking goddamn game that of this world. So I don't know. He was kind of forced to play the actual world game.
Yeah, I think the characters are like at this point they're playing catch up. So
Fixed.
yeah, at this point the characters are like playing catch up because like they should be like really strong. They should be given like whatever they need in order to get stronger and stronger. But since they're not working together and they're not like participating in each other's like fights or helping each other grow, I feel like that's really inhibiting them.
Yeah. And they were all supposed to spawn in different countries.
Right.
So it's like there's something going on that is fucked up.
Yeah.
That Melromark is there, it has to do with the king and mine. And we all know like mine freaking is trying to kill Ren and fucking Archer Boy now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck is going on, but
yeah, I don't know. I like I said last week, this is the point like where I like had stopped reading. So it's at least it's cool like I can like watch it now and be along the same page now.
yeah.
But yeah, like it's like I don't know what their plan is or if there's some underlying meaning or some secrets going on. I don't know.
All I know is everyone keeps talking about how mine gets hers, so I'm fucking waiting for that to happen, and I hope it's
No,
soon.
she gonna live forever.
No.
She gonna live. Yeah, trash lives forever.
She must die.
Well, last thing. So we've got Kimetsu no Yaiba. So
oh, I think only myself and Alec are watching that.
do you want
I'm not
to
watching.
briefly talk about it?
I mean, I really like the show actually. It's really cool. And I mentioned this last week that this is kind of like Dororo, but in like a lighter sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as really
Heavy.
yeah, it's not as heavy and like sad. So they have a lot of really good points. And plus, like I mentioned, it's animated by Ufotable, so the animation quality is so top notch. It's really good. But yeah, there's a lot of like really good points to the show. So if you're not watching it, I definitely recommend it as like a really good action series for this season. This is one of the ones that I was like kind of most excited about, just because like from the preview it looks really good. But I think that this latest episode there wasn't like a whole lot that like went on. You get like some kind of insight into the demons that are inhabiting the country, or like that there's like another level to demons. It's not just like people who are or demons who are hunting people. You have like these demons who are step up, who are also exhibiting like kind of like special powers that allow them, you know, different abilities. um, so I think the mission now is to kind of work to finding like one of these demons in order to transform his sister back. But yeah, I definitely like there was like a really like heartwarming moment where he sees his sister and she's finally awake, and then she like recognizes him, and so she gives him a hug, and I was like, "Oh, that was
And you
sweet."
cried a tear.
And I
Oh,
shed
one tear.
One tear.
one tear,
A
man.
He
single
typed
tear.
F. He typed
A
F in
single
chat.
tear.
One tear, man. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, no, this is like a heartwarming episode, but nothing like, you know, too drastic. But I definitely like this show. It's really cool.
Cool. Well, if you say it's like Dororo but lighter, then maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, I haven't watched Doro in like 2 weeks.
I haven't either, but
It's a lot.
sometimes it's just hard to watch
Yeah.
because it's so deep, like just dark.
Yeah,
And,
I definitely agree. It's really deep and gets
Yeah.
somewhat depressing at times. And I was like, oh man, it's such a good show, but
It's good,
It's
yeah.
definitely a downer.
yeah, definitely downer.
Yeah.
Well, so lastly, we're gonna cover some housekeeping and some news. So Drew went to
Yeah.
Wisconsin this last week.
Wisconsin.
I
and
did.
He's gonna update us on his brewery adventure.
Yeah, so I went to this place called Hop House Brewing. It is in Wisconsin. I got a flight. I wanted to kind of see what they had going on. They had a little bit of everything. It was interesting to see kind of how the hazy IPA phase has also reached the middle of the United States as well, because they had a couple different hazies that I tried. But I'll read the ones that I got, and I rank them as well. So I'll start with my least favorite, and I'll work into my favorite. So the least favorite one, it was called #hazy. It was kind of, even on their menu, they had like all these hashtags on it because they're like, oh, hazy is like the new trend or whatever. It was actually my least favorite, which is surprising for me because I really like the hazy IPAs. It had Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe hops. It was decently hoppy with some pineapple citrus to it. And it had a little bit of that dank flavor, but it wasn't very like robust. It was like, it felt like light, if that kind of makes sense, in terms of like the mouthfeel, in terms of like a lot of different elements. It had a lot of those flavors, but it felt muted by the lightness. It was almost like it was like, what's the word I'm looking? It was almost like drowned out by like just water flavor. I don't know, but it wasn't my favorite. So that was number 2. Or sorry, number 5, sorry. The next one I had, the Plaid Panther. It was a Scotch ale. It was
Scotch
8%. Ale. It was a Scotch ale. A lot of caramel and malt flavors. Very mild hints of roasted coffee. And it finished very boozy. It was a decent Scotch ale. If you like heavy booze in that type of darker style of ale, I would definitely go for it. It was good. These 4 through 1 were actually all very good, and it was hard to rank that. The #hazy wasn't very good. So that was number 4 for me. Number 3, it was a Pilsner. That was the name of it. It is a German Pilsner. Very classic, clean, crisp, oaky flavors. Super, super light on the oak. I put here a little bit of malt and finished with some corn. Just super low alcohol, refreshing. So that was number 3, very good. Number 2 and number 1 and number 2 were really close for me. So number 2 was another hazy IPA. It was called the Redacted. It was very piney, very foresty. So fresh pine, very wet, orange peel. It had Galaxy and Citra hops. And a very bitter aftertaste, which I actually enjoyed. So that was number 2, very good hazy IPA, much better than the #hazy. And then their namesake, well, not really, I guess their namesake, but their star IPA, that's what the bartender was telling me. It's called the Hidden Stash. And it's not a hazy, but it very well could have been because had that super hazy coloration and it was way more citrusy than the other two. Tons of pineapple, tons of lemon, very light hint of pine and super dank. It was mainly brewed, he said, with a mosaic hops. It was very crisp finish as well. So that was number 1, just a regular IPA, not hazy, but like I said, it very well could have been considered that. It was excellent. I wish you guys could try that one because it was really good. It reminded me, I even wrote this here, it reminded me of the Orderville from Modern Times.
Nice.
So, very good.
That sounds good.
A hazy from Ale Asylum, but it was not very good. It was an Amarillo hop. It's like one of their main IPAs that they then made hazy, and just like the Sculpin, the Aloha Sculpin that they tried to make hazy, it wasn't very good. But always, if you go to Wisconsin, you got to get a New Glarus Spotted Cow. You can only get it in Wisconsin. It's a very good
What? A spotted
drink.
Spotted dick? What?
Spotted Cow by New Glarus Brewing. You can only get it in Wisconsin, and they're very proud of that fact. That's what they say all over the place. Only in Wisconsin. Only in Wisconsin. So,
Okay.
They have good cheese?
yeah.
Go to Wisconsin.
Good cheese curds. I got fried cheese curds and regular cheese
Oh.
curds.
I want to try some. That sounds good.
It's good. It is
Fried
good.
cheese curds,
Yeah.
man.
It's very good. It's very good.
Did you get any poutine? Do they have poutine in Wisconsin?
Poutine?
They don't really do poutine. That's more north of the border, at least that I've seen. I'm sure you could probably get it there, but I did. It would be good there. I mean, they have some of the best cheese curds I've ever had, so it would. They would go hand in hand. So Wisconsin is good for like some things. So like they're good with like fried food and stuff, but it gets really old very quickly. So it's like trying to find a restaurant there. It's like you either want pizza, burgers, or fried food, and that is the extent of what they have.
Oh my God.
There's a place in LA. Well, I think it's like, well, I don't know if it's LA. Like Cerritos. They have oxtail poutine.
Ooh,
That's so good.
that sounds so
Oxtail
good.
is delicious.
So good.
Poutine is delicious. Just get it all in there. That sounds.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I
let's
think
go.
Liz made cake. I think I'm gonna
Let's
eat
go.
cake.
We need next excursion in LA. We need to go get some oxtail poutine.
Oxtail poutine.
Dude,
Yeah, I'm
let's do it.
down.
All right. Well, moving on.
I'm so excited about this next piece of news. I'm so excited.
Moving
about
on. This is the piece of news that we're probably going to talk about for the longest. But so if you didn't hear, the quintessential quintuplets is getting a second anime season.
Yes.
Drew's so excited.
Drew is so excited. Why don't
So
you tell us?
I like this show for some reason, and we talked about it in length of that. But when I heard this news, I the first thing I said to myself was, why? Hobo, who frequents the stream sometimes, he linked it to me when I woke up, and I looked at it. I'm like, you're lying. You're fucking lying to me. And nope, it is apparently did well enough to get a second season. I don't know. I like the show just because I like that style of show, but did it deserve a second season? Probably not. I mean, the animation quality itself was terrible.
The manga is still popular, dude. It's only increasing in popularity.
Yeah. And I'm sure the first season helped it.
I
Yeah.
mean, if the manga is better than the actual show,
Yeah.
then I can understand why it's popular.
Yeah, that
But-
is that's the
The
thing.
show is bad.
The show is bad.
But it's
not good.
It's one of those shows that doesn't need a whole lot to go into it in order, like animation wise. Like you're not.
It's very
animating,
basic.
Like action scenes, like it seemed simple enough. So it's like if it did
Draw
well,
boobs and thighs.
exactly like if it did
that's what
well
you
enough
need.
for like the simplicity of it, and especially because it wasn't that intense, then I'm sure animation studios are
Well,
like, well, fuck it, let's just do a second season.
You know,
They had to fix a lot for the Blu-rays, though.
You know what's interesting
No,
to
did
me
they?
is they ended first season the way they did with that wedding scene.
Oh my god.
And then they still brought it back for a
Still
second
fucking brought-
season.
No. I knew some shit like that was gonna happen because they did this fucking wedding scene, and then he fucking wakes up early, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's a fucking dream. They're bringing it back to the present, so he's gonna fucking. There's gonna somehow tie it into a possibility for another season.
Oh man, I hope they get
unbelievable.
to the point like, and I told you this, Rolando, and I don't want to say that I don't want to say the name, but it's definitely come to a point where I really dislike one of the girls. Like,
I know which girl you're talking
and
about.
it's not even like a matter of like 1 through 5. Now it's like 1 through 4 and hate one of them.
Got him.
It's at that point. Man, I hope it gets there. I pray to God it gets there, because then I want you guys
Nice.
to experience this.
I need to start reading this. I have it
should.
downloaded. I need to just read it. I think I would love it.
You should read it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I would rather read this series than watch it get animated again. And maybe if things get better in the second season, it could bode well. But like, second seasons never usually are better than the first.
Not for this style of show.
Yeah, especially for this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just this show. I thought just really dropped the ball for what it had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
But
Oh well.
maybe it's gonna pull a Nisekoi. Who knows?
Well, Nisekoi's second season was trash, so.
So moving on. So Code Geass.
Just let it die. Just let the show
There's
die.
a 10-year plan.
Seriously.
So if you didn't know, the English version of Code Geass Resurrection has been released, and now they're revealing there's a 10-year plan for this fucking project.
That's outrageous.
So through fucking 2029 or whatever, we're gonna have more Code Geass, a show that 10 years
Does anyone
ago
care?
fucking
Yes, actually,
everyone
yeah.
was done with.
Actually, yeah, this show is still really popular in Japan.
I don't understand.
I don't
why.
understand either.
No, I mean, it was a good show. Like, I agree. I definitely think it was a good show, but there's no need or reason to why it needs to go on this long.
There's no reason for it to have even come back.
Yeah, I don't know.
The show had a clean, buttoned up, tied up ending.
This is just beating a dead horse. At this point.
Despite how we got there and how much of a train wreck that was.
But you know what's
But
gonna happen too? It's gonna get the Evangelion treatment where they just end up not finishing it. It's just gonna be out there.
it's gonna be on
It's just-
hiatus for a while.
People are just gonna be pissed.
That's what they like to do.
Yeah,
man.
just hope that Gainax isn't doing it. But yeah, no, I don't know why they're doing this, but
There's no need.
there's definitely no need for that. So, our next piece of news. So apparently, a show that I saw the first episode of and dropped last year. That was Märchen Mädchen. They finally released the final 2 episodes of that show.
It's incredible.
A show that 1 year ago was airing. They postponed the final 2 episodes for a year.
And this is the show that like they kept delaying, right? Like they kept delaying releases because of like production quality. Like people weren't getting paid. People weren't doing a good enough job or something. I don't remember. There was this huge ordeal in getting the show animated. It was outrageous.
Was it Madhouse?
I don't know.
No, I'm just
It's like, I don't think
referencing
it's-
last week's
last-
article with the production assistant
Oh,
that
God. No,
wasn't
definitely
getting paid overtime.
Definitely was not Madhouse. So I can only imagine, man. Yeah, even if you're working at like a well-known name like Madhouse, and you're still getting treated like that, can you imagine how bad it is if you're working somewhere else and
Some fucking other studio that
places where
doesn't have a lot of money.
they just are not getting paid at all? Like,
Yeah. They're just like, yeah,
uh,
we'll pay you next week.
God. I mean, like people want to get their names, like names out there and be well known in the industry, so they can get into one of these like well known production studios. So I'm sure there's people who are willing to put in work and not get paid right away, but I think the extent that it went to for this show in particular, I think it was like extreme of extreme. Like I just didn't hear anything positive about it.
So to enlighten you, it says in the article that the anime's 9th and 10th episodes were delayed to March 22nd and 29th of 2018. And then so that was to improve animation quality. And then they announced that the 11th and 12th episodes would be TBD. And they eventually announced that it would be released in December 2018, to which in December they said it's going to be released in April, which is just recent in the last week.
I mean,
it aired.
it's like at this point, do people like really care enough about this show? Like, or is there a big enough following that they're
I don't
like
know.
that they absolutely
It wasn't very good
it wasn't
from the
it
first
wasn't
episode
well
I saw.
received either.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, just release what you have and just chalk it up as a loss at this point.
Sometimes series get canceled,
Exactly.
you know.
Like just.
But I don't know if
cancel.
there's a contractual
Drag the-
obligation for them to finish it.
Was this based on a
Drag
light
the
novel?
dead
or-
horse out till it
I think
dies.
so.
Maybe the light novel is really popular, and they're like, we need to just get this out, and
I guess so. It wasn't very good.
it's such a shame.
Well, next piece of news: Sound Euphonium Oath's finale.
That's cool.
The movie has been listed with July screenings in the United States.
Cool.
So, according to AMC, the U.S. theater chain, they are listing a July 11th screening for Sound Euphonium Oath's finale, the second of the movies in the Sound Euphonium franchise. So yes, it says the July 11th screening will have English subtitles, and then there will be a July 15th screening with an English dub. I do not know exactly where it says these screenings will be, but
Somewhere.
I am seeing there is a promotional art that shows was it Kumiko and Trombone Boy, and in the same background from Liz and the Blue Bird.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Did you watch the first movie? I didn't.
I did not. Not yet.
I wanted to. I mean, the anime itself is like really beautifully like well drawn. I mean, it's amazing. So I wanted to see the movie, but I haven't seen it yet. But it also makes me wonder, like, I'm not sure how the format of the show fits so well into a movie setting. Because I mean, it just seems like it's not so much like slice of life as it is like, I don't know.
I feel like this one could fit more into a movie than something like. I mean, I didn't really like Koi no Katachi as a movie. I thought that should have been a series,
Well,
or at least a series of OVAs.
Okay.
But that's coming from a manga reader's perspective.
Yeah.
But I do think that they have done. Keone's done pretty well with slice of life adaptations. That I think this series that is more of an actual like drama would be lending itself to the movie form, because like if they could make Tamako Market a decent movie and that's just straight slice of life, then I think they could do a good job with this.
Yeah, I mean, I know it did well. Like the first movie, I know it did really well. But it just seems so like interesting to me that this kind of like the whole plot of this movie or I guess of the series, excuse me, if the series itself would do well in movie format. I mean, I would be interested in seeing it, but I don't know. Like multiple movies just seems like I don't know if they're gonna like start stretching things out or just kind of reusing the
I think they
same.
just
Or
wanted to
release it. I mean,
wanted to make something,
yeah.
and they didn't want to make another anime.
But I think it's getting another series, isn't it? Isn't it getting another season later this year, next year?
Is it? I thought it was just the movies.
I think it's getting another series, another season. I keep saying series.
Is it the spin-off novels?
Oh, that might be a good. That's a good question. I'm not sure. Get back to me. Let me look it up.
All right.
Yeah, get back to.
Well, while Mark looks that up, our next piece of news is so following Backlash, the director of the Sonic the Hedgehog live-action movie promises that the design for Sonic will change before release.
God, could you imagine that?
You want to know what I heard about this? And this would be crazy if it was fucking true.
What?
Is they released these like initial images of Sonic to create buzz around the movie, like regardless of good or bad news, and they had already edited it, so it's already what they were going to originally do, and they changed it.
No.
It's conspiracy theory.
Absolutely.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Absolutely not.
No, I think Paramount like released this footage as final, and then they heard the backlash, and then director sound effects or visual effects were like, we need to fucking change this right away because nobody.
I mean, it looks awful.
Well,
it's bad.
So,
I'm sure they're still in like finalization stages right now because it's releasing later this year. Like, there's still a couple more months until it gets released.
The thing is,
I don't know.
It costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time,
absolutely.
and there's a lot because you have to hire a lot of different companies that hire a bunch of different artists to do all of this VFX, and so it's not like they can just be like, hey, we got to change this thing, and then you turn this parameter up or turn this parameter down. Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into this, so like I don't know how much they can actually change unless it's something like Drew said where they're trying to make it viral by creating controversy like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so this film's initial budget was already like 100 million. Like that's a lot for an anime.
There's a lot of good
movie.
people like behind it too.
Dude, and I'm not gonna lie. Like the only reason I would want to see this movie is for James Marsden and Ben Schwartz, who is voice acting Sonic. Like Ben Schwartz is my favorite upcoming actor, comedian.
Well, I actually like Jim Carrey as Eggman. I think that's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
Poor Mark.
Poor Mark.
Poor Mark.
Like I can't help but laugh because when I see Rolato's like face change, he just goes. I mean, I don't know. I wanna go watch this movie just to support Ben Schwartz because I love that guy. I saw him live with Thomas Middleditch, and it was like one of the funniest comedy shows I've seen. But yeah, the designs for Sonic were really bad. Like some of the fan art and fan recreations that the people did in Photoshop were just far better than what they released. And I don't know. I mean, it already doesn't sound like the script is great either. So that's also
Oh well.
They're trying to cash in on the fucking video game live action movies.
And another big thing that they have going against them is that Detective Pikachu is coming out, and that actually looks good. So
yeah, that's coming out like what, next week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it
like
actually looks good. Yeah.
I think next week, like late next week. Yeah.
But moving on. So the Hyoka manga, another series that was adapted by KyoAni into an animation. That manga is being listed as finished with the 12th volume, and a new series is going to start serializing with the main cast as second-year students. So, knowing how old that series is, and their ever eternal first-year students, that's been going on for a while. So that's pretty surprising. I'm not sure if you guys have seen or read that series.
I've read, or I haven't read it. I saw the first season or whatever. I liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was different. But I didn't like the main character. That's the only thing. He's like obnoxiously.
You didn't like the guy?
Obnoxiously brooding and annoying. But I like all the other characters. I think they're all fun. What does she always say? She always like what her catchphrase or yeah, that's what it is. It's cute every time. It's cute.
Oh yeah, I do remember this series. Yes, I was like, I don't know if I watched this. Yeah, no, I did like this series a lot because of the main female character, like female protagonist. I really liked
It's
her.
a good like mystery series.
I liked the show a lot. Yeah, I think I binged it in like a day. I definitely didn't do anything else but watch the show because I really liked it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, I'm glad that it's going to get a continuation, even though they're closing off the first chapter. I guess I don't know.
Yes, I don't know.
It's weird.
So good.
So
so good.
Makoto Shinkai's Tenki no Ko is going to get a novel adaptation as well.
Oh, cool. This looks really good. I'm actually really excited for this. The Makoto Shinkai has been like just cashing it in the past few years. Like, seriously, it's like one project after another.
Well, this looks like it's a mixture of Your Name and Garden of Words.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking rain.
From the preview alone, it looked amazingly good. It just looks so beautiful. And it was only like a 30-second preview, and it just blows my mind how good the animation quality is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the story seems pretty interesting. I don't know, man.
I'm looking forward to it. Although there's a lot of people that are skeptical because, like, as what always happens with these movies is just like, how are you going to live up to the previous movie?
Yeah,
is the big caveat.
He's like the next like Ghibli at this point, really. Like he's just consecutively putting out like really good quality films. Like, I mean, I have high hopes for it, and I'm sure it's gonna be good. I don't think it's gonna flop or anything. And I think that it'll probably be well received in the U.S. too. So we'll see.
Yeah, with how much hype Your Name got.
Yep, exactly.
People are definitely going to be looking at this. Whether it lives up to the hype or doesn't.
We'll
it's
see
going to
if
get a lot of attention.
Disney buys out the rights next, like they did Ghibli.
See. I don't know.
We'll see.
Then it will become popular in the U.S. Guaranteed.
Maybe.
The mouse touches it, it becomes gold.
Oh. Well,
except for the
last
live
couple
action remakes.
Oh, Mark. No. I want to hear about this, though. Tell me about this.
So, last couple pieces of news. So, Blue Moon has released a mint julep beer for the Kentucky Derby. So, if you're not familiar, if you're not from the United States or just from the Midwest, which none of us are, but if you are a listener from the Midwest, then you know what the Kentucky Derby is. If you are not from the United States or know what the Kentucky Derby is, it is a horse race. And so I'm going to guess that the mint julep cocktail is pretty popular in Kentucky.
There's a lot of like tradition around it, so everyone dresses up with like a big hat and like fancy formal wear, and they drink mint juleps and they watch horses, and they bet large sums of money on it.
All right,
that's the extent.
That's the extent of it. So, in commemoration, Blue Moon is releasing a mint julep bourbon barrel aged beer, which that screams like Kentucky right there. if you think about it.
Man,
So,
when I hope this is available everywhere because I really want to try. Because I like mint juleps and I like.
I got your answer for you.
Yeah, tell me.
So unfortunately, the beer will not be bottled.
Damn.
It's going to be exclusively available at Blue Moon's Brewery in Denver.
Damn.
So, unfortunately, for everybody that doesn't live in Denver,
That
we
makes
won't
me
get to try
upset.
this beer.
What a shame.
But I think it's a pretty interesting kind of tie-in for them to make this beer, and like Blue Moon's not exactly the brewer that we think of when making some sort of craft collaboration like this.
They have a horchata beer. It's kind of interesting.
Is it as good as the Rogue?
I haven't had the Rogue one, but I do like. You can only drink like one of them because it's like sickeningly
super
sweet. But the
sweet, yeah.
horchata Blue Moon is good.
Okay. Cool. Well,
I like horchata. You gotta like horchata.
who doesn't like a good horchata?
Yeah, nice and cold. Sounds good right now.
Mark would like to comment on it, but he hasn't fixed his mic yet. So,
Poor Mark. He's dead.
no words. He's just cutting it off.
No.
All right.
Everything's going to the stream, but not to you.
He's not coming back in.
Yeah.
Anyways, last piece of music. So the Brewers Association has released new 2019 guidelines for their style brewing, and so there's 4 new styles they're adding, and they've made over 1,000 edits for the existing styles. And the style additions they're adding are the juicy or hazy strong pale ale, the contemporary Belgian style Goose lambic, the Franconian style rot beer, and the American style India pale lager.
What?
Those are the 4 styles they're adding.
The American
style India pale lager.
Pale lager. So it's
Yes.
not an IPA. It's
Or an
not American
IPA.
strong ale. It's
it's
a mixture. They
Well, no,
mixed
an American strong ale is just like kind of a cloud term for just any strong American ale.
Yeah, like Budweiser.
But
Wait, hold on. Sorry, Rolando. Can you repeat that?
the 4 styles.
Yeah. No.
There
just what you
was-
said last.
What I said last is the American strong ale is a blanket term for American style strong ales, just like high alcohol percentage ales.
Huh. I mean, I could see why they're adding more of these categories, because the Great American Beer Fest, like, they had like 2,500 submissions, and there was just so many beers that didn't really fall into like a specific category. They didn't know where to put them, so they just kind of placed them under like the general hazy IPA. But it's like, I heard a lot of complaints about people saying like, yeah, this isn't really a hazy because it's a lot stronger than like a regular hazy or New England. And I heard like there was just like so much backlash about like the categorization of some of the beers. Like, I could see what they're going for, but oh man, it's kind of weird to.
There's just too many beers,
There's just too
honestly.
many, especially like there's just too many styles that people are like, you know, making up and combining different styles and to make something new. I don't know. It's hard to categorize some of these at this point. I don't know.
Well, of note for some of their edits to their styles, so they've consolidated a few styles. So the pale and dark American Belgio style ale styles were consolidated into one guideline. The Keller beer or Zwickel beer ale and lager styles consolidated into one guideline. The Breslau style pale and dark Sheps style consolidated into one guideline. The American style light and dark wheat beer styles consolidated from 4 guidelines to 1.
Huh. That's weird.
And then the wood and barrel aged pale to amber, dark, and strong. Oh, wait. So wood and barrel aged pale to amber, dark, and strong into 1 guideline. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they removed a category. That was the
Nice.
American style ice lager.
What's an ice lager?
No idea.
Natty ice.
But that
Oh.
is that is yeah, they're saying that that's not beer anymore.
Like, yeah, it's just water, please. GTF.
It's carbonated water. But so these guidelines will be the basis for the 2019 GABF and the 2020 World Beer Cup. So there will be a lot of consolidation and kind of shifting of categories.
That's cool. I want to go to that, man. That'd be cool. It's in El Segundo. Oh no, no.
The World,
wait, no. Where's it gonna be?
the World
El Segundo.
Brewers Cup?
Yeah, where's that gonna be?
Because the GABF is in Colorado.
That's in Colorado. Oh man, damn it. I was like, I saw El Segundo on here, and I was like, wait, El Segundo? Oh no.
Rip.
Where
Thanks
does
for
it
getting
say?
our hopes up, Mark.
Damn it. Sorry. No, I know last year they were holding like one of the parties in San Diego, and that was the GABF. But I don't know if it was like the actual competition. I think they were just holding like like an annual meeting, connection networking event.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, if there is something in El Segundo,
Oh,
that
dude,
would be
I want to go.
a lot easier for me and you to get to.
Yeah. Drew could.
And if Drew
could
Drew
go.
could go too. He
Yeah.
decided to drive up from the San Diegos.
That's right.
You could do
That
it.
is. Well, boys, I think that wraps up this episode 97 of Anime on Draft. So, if you didn't know, you could find us on social media, led by our Mark man over here. You can
Yeah.
follow us on Twitter at Anime on Draft. You can send him any memes. You can make fun of him.
No.
He'll make fun of you back.
Yeah.
And any direct messages to him there, or you can send him a direct email at animeondraft@gmail.com, or you can go to our WordPress, animeondraft.wordpress.com, which has everything related to our podcast, not updated, but we have a contact page there as well that you can message us from. And we are on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Just search for Anime on Draft. Our Instagram was it Anime on Draft Podcast?
Yep.
And our YouTube as well, Anime on Draft. We have our VODs going up there every week. And as always, we are streaming every Sunday around 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/anime on draft.
Yeah.
So Drew, while he mouths his piece of cake that he received, is I guess we'll play it out from here. So
Yeah.
It's cake
this
time,
is-
boys.
been
Cake time.
episode 97. It's cake time. Bye bye.